And welcome back to day 2 of Survivor 50 and 50. We just finished watching Tina win Australian Outback in a very, very dull finale, which we will probably talk about a lot during this. I'm joined by two newcomers to the marathon. We have Scott to my top right, and we have Michael Grossman to my bottom. Thank you both so much for joining me for this. And I'm going to talk about how this season is relevant to my life personally. But just to kind of start off, what made y'all want to talk about this season in particular?
Um, I don't know. I have not watched an old season of Survivor in a very long time, so it was fun to go back into 2001, pre when I or 2000 pre when I was never. I started watching Survivor very late, like 2013. So, watching a season I haven't watched in years was just very fun to rewatch and get into.
Scott?
This season means a lot to me just because I remember watching it in real time when I was like 9, 10 years old. It aired after the Super Bowl. So it was like a really big deal. Like I remember it very vividly. And I remember like, I don't know, like I was like obsessed with Amber. My brother was obsessed with Elizabeth. Like I remember crying when Amber got voted out. Like, I don't know. It just, this season is really close to my heart. So I was like, oh, I can watch that in a day, half a day. It actually took a couple more days, but I feel like I could talk about it without even watching it. So that's kind of why I wanted to do this one.
And you brought up the fact that this aired right after the Super Bowl. It was Ravens Giants, one of the worst Super Bowls ever, but this got 43, 44 million viewers in the premiere, and that's coming off of Survivor, you know, that first season and the cult of personality that it brought to our society. So people were waiting for this, and obviously, I do feel like it delivered in some aspects, and in other aspects, it's like, okay, I feel like you guys tried to. We'll talk about the 42 days thing in a little bit, but these are numbers that we are probably never going to see again with any TV show because of streaming, because we can TiVo thing, or TiVo's not even a thing anymore, but you know what I mean. It's just got it kind of gotten to the point where just because people aren't watching Survivor like that anymore doesn't mean that people still aren't watching Survivor like that, if that makes sense. Um, and coming off Borneo, they do have a lot to live up to. And this is still the season that has had the most returnees of any other all newbie season. Every all newbie season has had someone from Australian Outback on it. And that is a testament to this cast. And we're going to kind of talk about deserving, non-deserving a little later. But on this rewatch, what were some things that you noticed that that hadn't really clicked to you the last time you watched it?
I'll chime in. I feel like certain aspects of the game are rushed. Like, and I never noticed that before. Like, I've noticed, like, when they're at challenges, you're not really watching them do the challenge. You're just watching little montages of them do the challenge while Jeff barks the rules at them. And I never really noticed that until this rewatch.
Michael?
Yeah, for me, I think I really thought there wasn't going to be that much strategy. Like a lot. I thought it was okay. We're just gonna vote out the weak one or the annoying one. I didn't realize that everyone kind of had a game face on going into it. I did want to talk later about like how I definitely think that they just didn't air a scrambling period. Like I love the scrambling period, and of course, that wasn't the main focus in season 2. But they talked. A lot of them talked about strategy. Like Jerry was very strategy. Tina was very strategy. Even Keith was a little bit. So I didn't realize I was going to hear. We didn't get to see strategy, but people talked about it, and that's why I was surprised for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where at 9 or 10 years old, I know Scott brought that up watching live. I was 9 or 10 years old when the season came out. And so I didn't really understand what strategy even was. Like all I saw was who wins challenges, and that was kind of it. I didn't understand the main point, the social strategic part of the game until way later, until a few years later. And so with Tina, this is one of the very early versions of the Shield strategy that Jeremy perfected all those seasons later, because she has Colby and Keith as, I've got the hateable person right here, and I've got the challenge beast right here, and no one's going to come after me. Amber says when she votes, no one's voted for Tina this game. She's still not going to get my vote. Doesn't really matter. She's not going to get my vote. Tina uses both these people and is basically running the entire game from the Jeff Varner vote until the end, where they are flipping on Ogakor members every other round, and she's never in danger of going home. And Keith's the one that doesn't bring stuff to tribal. We'll talk all about Keith as this goes along. So I don't think that Tina's underrated, and I don't think Tina's underappreciated, but I feel like Tina's not as talked about as other female winners, or just winners in general. Why do y'all think that is?
Maybe she's not like super flashy.
Yeah, that's literally what I was gonna say.
Yeah, her edit, like in the first few episodes, if you would have told me she won, I wouldn't have believed you. But you know, that's because of the whole Survivor edit. Of course, we see that in other like women winners as well who don't get edited. I don't know. I think that I just think when you're sitting next to Colby, who's like the all-American strong guy who wins all these challenges, you're not expecting her to win, which is what's great about Survivor, is that anyone can win. But I don't know why she's not seen. I mean, not to not answer your question, I'm not really sure. That's a great question though. But like also like in the first like I guess pre-All-Star season, people think that a winner of Survivor is the strongest people, and she was more stronger mentally. And yeah. I mean, I think that's why she ends up winning the whole thing. I think people caught on to that the strongest mentally should win, in their opinion. And
she saved the rice.
Yeah, first of all, we can wait about later. But that was crazy. That was an exhausting scene.
Not only did she save the rice, but Keith tried to do it without getting wet. She jumped right in that river and swam towards the rice. So.
If I die.
On it or something.
And Prod's not going to help us. Prod's not going to tell me to not. They let our camp burn down a couple days ago, so they're not going to try to save me if I start drowning to save our rice. Yeah, Tina was so strong-willed and was running the game from basically the Jeff Varner vote, but the Mitchell vote, where she says, hey, we've switched the vote on the way there. And I told them, hey, it'd be better. I told Colby it'd be better if we go this way and go with Keith. And then, you know, she pulls the move on Jerry when Colby's like, I don't think it's a good idea to vote out Jerry right now. Her and Keith are the only ones that flip and vote Amber out the round that Amber goes out. She played it in a lot of her voting confessionals. Yeah, she has the Tennessee thing going on for her, but like a lot of voting confessionals are very grating. Like she's playing a very cutthroat game in season 2, which is not a thing that happens in these early seasons. Scott.
Yeah, she literally votes out her best friend in episode 3. Like, I get it. Like, you don't want to stick your neck out, but Marilyn's sitting there like, oh, Tina's a constellation. She's great. She's amazing. Tina votes her out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was gonna say the same thing. Tina was playing on day one because I mean, her bestie. They showed a lot of clips of those two always in the water as like their friendship, and she did not care. She voted her out.
And Gabe, we're going to get to this a little later because I feel like all three of us probably agree with this. We're going to touch on that a little later, and I kind of want to go around to some of the other people on the cast. I feel like because of what Sue Hawk was when Borneo finished, everyone was the audience especially, were kind of looking for someone to immediately hate at the beginning of season 2. And I remember when Deb first showed up on screen, I'm like, that's a Sue and I don't like her. And I'm 9-10 years old. I don't know what that means, but I know I don't like this person. The end. I feel like they also tried to frame her as if she was going to be Sue Hawk, and I don't think that's fair. I think that her her little moment during the reunion hasn't happened yet. But I kind of felt for her because, and this is something that I said all 3 times I've done this marathon. Growing up is realizing that Kucha were the bad guys all along, both in and outside the game. But like for right now, we will just focus on the inside of the game. They do Deb dirty here because there are other people. But what did you guys think of Deb and just the Kucha tribe in general, in the realms of season 2 on screen?
Oh, well, I feel like the Kucha, I feel like their strategy was let's just vote off who they thought was the annoying person. Because like I remember in rewatching in episode 1 when they showed Deb talking when they were trying to get to camp. I think it was like Kimmy who was rolling her eyes the whole time. And then when they lost, it was like they didn't really talk about Deb as the vote. They talked about what, Jeff or Roger, I think.
Jeff,
and
Roger,
then it was like
I think even like Kimmy because Deb votes for Kimmy because she's from Long Island and has a big mouth.
Yeah. And then it was just like, then Deb went home and it was kind of like, okay, yeah, that made sense because they all were annoyed with her in the first 10 minutes of the episode. I guess that was what we were supposed to think on why she was voted out because they really never talked about it.
Or did Kimmy, or did she vote for? She voted for Jeff.
No, Deb voted for Jeff. Remember? That was
yeah. She I think she says, this should be Kimmy, but it has to be Jeff, or something happens like that.
No, she definitely voted for. I think it was like
she definitely voted for Jeff because that's how Jeff goes home. Yeah, my bad. Scott, what were your thoughts on Kucha? Just this early part of the game.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that they were playing a very interesting game at their camp because it did seem like they were just like, oh, let's vote out the annoying people because when Deb leaves, it switches to Kimmy when, mind you, Kimmy's the one doing all the work. Kimmy's busting her ass at camp, in my opinion. Like, she is, yes, she's a little annoying with the chickens, but like, she's a hard worker. She's not laying around.
Yeah.
She is trying to make sure that everything is good in camp life. And I do think that her talking and not being afraid to speak her mind, and I do also think that the chicken fight is kind of what sealed her fate ultimately. But I do think that they were just trying to vote out the annoying people in the first few rounds.
And I mean, she's one tiebreaker away from going home before because she doesn't move. And I get it. Like I understand, you make that type of choice. I also understand that if you're going out on Survivor and there's a chance, then I don't know. It was that challenge has always been fair, and I've never really been a Kimmy person, so maybe that's why I have a lot of bias when it comes to that challenge, because I think there are other people that if they were in that same spot, I'm like, oh man, I really feel for them. Liz Wilcox. But because it's Kimmy, it's like I kind of wish they had lost right here. Outside of the game, obviously, is where Kucha's legacy has kind of hit the fan. And you put all politics aside, even if we're just talking about Skupin and Varner, that's 2 out of 8 right there. And then if you don't know about the Deb Eaton stuff, you should look up the Deb Eaton stuff.
Look it
up.
We were talking about it when we were watching it.
I do know about the Deb stuff.
But going off of all of that, we talked about earlier how 8 of the 16 people from this cast have been brought back, and that is still a record as far as newbie seasons. Are you guys shocked that that has never been broken at this point? Because we are 48 seasons later, at this point, and we still. I think the closest one might be Cagayan, maybe Borneo.
I'm not shocked. I'm shocked there's a couple people that haven't been brought back from this season. I know there's been a lot that have been brought back, but like I would have liked to see. I know it's probably not going to happen, but I would have liked to see Marilyn come back. I would have liked to see Mitchell come back. Like there's been a lot, but there's still a couple I think that they could bring back and kind of keep that legacy alive.
Michael.
Yeah. I think All Stars. Well, I think All Stars they just brought back so many people from the first 7 seasons. They didn't have a lot of options if you think about it. And Australia, like I say, this season really did like really focused on people. Like Kimmy Kappenberger had such a big edit in that first episode. Like they just really brought out her personality, and I think everyone, most of them, really did have like a personality or edit, I guess you can say. So it doesn't surprise me that so many people came back, and I guess like I mean they brought Kimmy back what 20? No, I can't do the math. Was it 20 years? 15 years later?
Yeah,
Something like that. Like
yeah.
I mean, they brought back Jeff too, technically, and Mike. All three of them were actually all brought back 15-ish years later. So, I guess Survivor also has the Outback as a place in their special place in their heart. But no, every single one of them. Like I mean, I know I just rewatched it for this, but I can like really remember anyone. I don't think there's anyone that forgettable. Like no one who got like 19th in seasons that are like forgettable.
Say Cal is a perfect example because despite the fact that he's second boot, everyone remembers Jerky Gate. Everyone was it or was it not beef jerky? It probably was. And that's where this whole legend of Jerry Manthe basically starts. It starts during the Kel moment of her kind of throwing one under the bus, and then everything kind of takes off with her and Colby. And I know there are a lot of, I'll say it like this. This is my least favorite Jerry of the three Jerrys that we get, because I feel like history says, oh yeah, Jerry actually wasn't that bad of a person, blah, 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 in the season. It's like, okay, she wasn't a bad person. She was still grating. Like, I understand that we definitely, like, as a society, treated her a lot worse than she deserved. But she was a villain on this season, a very big villain on this season, because the players are saying it. We're not watching it and putting this label on her and it's not true. The players are all saying, oh man, like Jerry's kind of annoying. And just the way that she kind of talks to people. And she says, yeah, I'm starving, this, that, and the other. And she wishes that she could have been a little bit different. What were y'all's thoughts on Jerry 1.0? Whether it's beef jerky gate, whether it's her obsession with Colby, whether it's her rivalry with Keith, which once again, we will talk about Keith a little later. Thoughts on Jerry?
I might have a very different opinion on this. Her one-sided rivalry with Keith was very interesting to me.
That's what I was gonna say.
Like, I get it. Everyone's hungry, but like, it was like there was one point where she was like making the tortillas, and Keith was like, "Wow, great job," and then they were still like dissing him for like being the cook, and I'm like. He seemed, I mean, this is the edit, of course. He seemed like he was okay with the tortillas. Like, they just loved showing her sitting in that, like, little corner with the pot, making anything. It was just so funny to me because I feel like it was just like let's start this, like, rivalry for no reason. That was, I mean, I think there was I forgot the other point you said, too. You said her and Colby.
Everything dealing with Colby, Keith, beef jerky.
Oh, the beef jerky, I mean, like, that to me was more the real from her. Like, I don't think she was starting something to start. Like, if she thought that was beef jerky, obviously she's going to be upset. But I thought I would say the thing that, like, annoyed me as her villain arc was the rivalry with Keith. I thought it was, like, kind of unnecessary. I know people get annoying, but, like, just let him cook, let her cook, and move on.
Scott?
I just feel like with Jerry, first of all, like I feel like she really didn't give a shit. Like she was literally just gonna like say and do whatever she wanted. Like Marilyn literally sits there and goes, I think we should all apologize to Cal. Not Cal. I love that she calls him Cal. But we should all apologize to Cal. And Jerry just goes, no. And I'm like, some people would just do the bigger thing and be like, okay, but Jerry's like, no, I don't give a shit. I think he had beef jerky, so I'm not gonna apologize. And then also with that, like to kind of bounce off the whole cooking thing, not even with Keith, it seemed like Jerry was upset anytime someone wanted to take on the cooking role. Anytime someone took on the cooking role, whether it be Keith, Elizabeth, Alicia, like I think there was one time where Elizabeth was like making the rice and she said that Jerry was like literally like watching her like a hawk, like anytime she stirred, anytime she did any like, oh my gosh, why is she stirring it? Why is she doing it like this? And then like the minute Jerry tastes it, she's like, oh, it's mushy. And I'm like, I really just think Jerry was just she was grating. Like she really was just super annoying. And I don't know if she was doing it on purpose, but it was getting to people.
Yeah,
They
and I
turned on
think
her
that,
for a reason.
yeah, well, and she
Yeah.
comes back 2 more times after that. I feel like it should have been 3 times because you can't have a Colby season without
No.
fighting Jerry and vice versa.
Yeah.
Having said that, Colby 4.0 was probably my favorite version of Colby because on the other end of the Jerry rivalry, love, whatever, we have Colby this season. And Colby is another one that is very grating in a lot of his confessionals. Now, he has the Great White Hope from Texas vibe, so everyone has to love him as an audience member. But a lot of the shit that he says and does, it's like, okay, yeah, you're kind of annoying. Him throwing the water on Jerry after the blindfold challenge, like, yeah, there was no context, but
I
in,
yeah.
in edit context, it's like, oh, he's upset that he lost and is blaming it on her. When it was that close, like it was close until the end. What do we think about Colby 1.0?
So I have one thing to say. Kobe, yes, he got the edit of like the great American boy, the cowboy, but like he said a few things that would not fly today. Like there was something where I was talking to Michael about this. There was something during the challenge with like the ropes that Nick won, and Jerry was just asking like, "Do I put my hand through it?" And Colby was like, "You should put it around your neck." And I'm like, that would not fly today, sir, whether it's a joke or not. Like, I was a little shocked. Like, I had Michael stop the video because I was like, did he really just say that?
And he did. Michael?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like I don't know his name. Who the comment you just posted? Like it was what they wanted the viewers to. They thought we wanted that. He's not. His archetype is not my favorite to root for. It's just, like I want someone who's more not annoying, but I want someone who's more loud. And he was just there. But I think he came. I mean, this is season 2, so like he probably thought he was in the best position just because he was the strong, likable guy. And yeah, I don't really have much opinions. I don't like have like super bad things to say. Roger was who Colby wanted to be.
Yeah, and I'll say it like that, it's like Colby, despite all of that, and this is not my favorite version of Colby, like I said, 50 would probably, but for his archetype, he's one of the most successful people in that archetype. Like people in his archetype do not do well as
Anymore,
well as
for sure.
done in the show,
Yeah.
especially this time around. And I do feel like as he progresses in the show, so like I do enjoy him in All Stars because I enjoy everyone in All Stars that makes it out pre-merge. So I enjoy Colby in All Stars. Here's his villains, he's basically a non-factor, and then in 50, it's like, yeah, this is cool old man Colby. I can enjoy this. But here, just he's another one that has a rivalry with Keith, and yes, Keith is annoying, and we're going to talk about later the one thing that annoyed me most about Keith, and it's probably not what you think. But even then, Colby sits there and says, "Oh yeah, I probably should have taken Keith. I probably won't win $1 million." It's like, I understand that, I'm from Texas and I have to be chivalrous and all that, but like, no. No. We had Roger brought up, and Roger was when I was 9 or 10, Roger was my winner pick along with Alicia, because you vote for me, you root for the black person and you root for somebody else. And so Roger was that person for me. And I feel like Roger and Elizabeth are the duo that 2 seasons later they try to do again in Marquesas, and it doesn't work that time. It comes off as creepy that time. Here, I think it's perfect. This is one of my favorite duos in the history of the show. What are you guys' thoughts on Roger and Elizabeth?
They were just really sweet.
There's static coming from someone.
I hear it too.
How was it me?
It might be from me.
Yeah.
Scott, comment on Roger and Elizabeth?
I mean, I just think the relationship is really sweet. Like, I do agree with you when they did it in Marquesas, it was a little on the creepier side, but this year it was very wholesome. It was very heartwarming. It really did feel like she saw him as like a father figure. And like, I'm not like the biggest fan of Elizabeth Hasselbeck now, but like back then, she really was like the America sweetheart, like archetype. Like, I feel like they cast her and Amber for that. Like, archetype, and I think Elizabeth really fit that well, and I think her she was just super sweet. Roger was very heartwarming and fatherly, so I think the that duo archetype worked really well for them.
Michael?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, it's just staticky, but it's
Static,
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
okay. I love like a good ride or die duo. I wish there was more in today's Survivor. But I thought they were really. I don't know. I think it was perfect. I like the way they edited their relationship. Watching it, like right away, like randomly, Elizabeth was like, "Well, Roger's my number one," and I just love the ride or die, and I think that she would never have voted him out ever. And the same with him. But I like how they all like they both as well included each other in like plans and just stuff like that. I guess we have no idea they still talk to this day. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed them.
Well, and this is something that can only happen in an early season like this, where you can outwardly tell people, I'm never voting for this person, and you still make it to final 5 and 4, where everyone knew they were a duo, not because of what they were seeing, but because of what they were being told. We're not going to vote for each other, and that's kind of the end of that. And like I said, in a later season, even past like season 10 on, you can't outwardly do that without worrying about people coming after you. I think All Stars really kind of solidifies that. But yeah, I think Roger and Elizabeth is this type of relationship perfected, and we get it in season 2. We also talked about last night with Borneo how the fact that Kelly Wigglesworth won 4 immunities and it's never been broken, it's only been tied. Well, Colby
Mhm.
has 5 and it's only been tied and never broken, and you get it in season 2. Are y'all shocked by that? Because we have had a lot of challenge beasts. We just lost one last week in season 50. We've had a lot of challenge beasts throughout the years that have never gotten past 5, and I feel like at least some of them have had a couple of them had the opportunity to potentially, if they are you shocked by that we haven't had anyone break that 5?
N- no, because I feel like 5 is a lot. Like for one season, like even 4. So like the fact that it's like for women 4 and for men 5, that's crazy. Like I don't know. I just feel like that's a lot. So I guess I'm not shocked. I guess I'm more shocked that it's reached 5.
Michael?
I know. I said the same thing last night. I said to Scott, I said, "Wait, does he really win 5 in a row?" Because I just feel like he just kept winning. It was like every episode was like, "What's the point?" Like he was
Well,
just gonna
he
win.
was winning rewards, so he was eating food
Mm.
almost every day.
The campfire or whatever, the beans and all that. I mean, he was eating like meals
Yes,
over
every single
while they were
time.
all like watching the rice fly away. He was like actually eating like full on breakfast. He was, so that's fair too. And I hate to say this, he probably was already the strongest physically out of the like last 6. But I also think that I hate to say this, I think the cast are probably more now equally matched, like physically and mentally. So I think it's harder. I think everyone has a better chance to win challenges, especially with the puzzles involved. So I think like it doesn't surprise me that it's still been just Colby with the 5 because I think he just had better chances.
And this
Yeah,
is
and Nick was
one
like
of
out of it at one point.
this is this is still early Survivor, so we are still in the era where Survivor's trying to kill their players. And in a lot of different situations, it's, oh yeah, oh you guys have forest fires. That's just a storyline in the season that never actually gets wrapped up. It's just every episode. It's like, oh, there was a piece of burning wood that apparently has been burning for 2 weeks, and we kind of brought it back to camp. Oh, our camp, got flooded. Oh, there's another fire. Oh, Michael Skupin fell on the fire. Like, there's just a lot of stuff happening. It's like, oh yeah, they don't. We're gonna make them play 42 days and only give them rice, and then really hold it against them that they got out of rice at.
I hated that.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I mean, we can get into that right now. We do have our first negotiation in Survivor history of this for that, and the price was steep. Was it fair?
Oh, see, I wasn't mad at it. I was more angry about Jeff's behavior. I felt like Jeff from the 40s was coming out. Like he was just like, well, I shouldn't even be doing this kind of like attitude. Like even when Tina was like trying to explain what happened, he was like, well, you guys were given enough. And I'm like, Jeff,
obviously not. Obviously they weren't.
I mean, who knows? Maybe Jerry made a lot with her tortillas. We don't really know. But yeah, I mean, it didn't bother me that they traded in for the shelter. I hated that the shelter went away after they rebuilt it. Yeah. But I mean, we didn't know that was going to happen. I mean, I would hate to build one shelter, let alone like 3 that they all had to do.
What I don't like is that they took away Colby's personal item. Like that's one thing that I didn't really like. But I mean, I guess if you're hungry enough, you got to be willing to sacrifice stuff. But like, I didn't really like that.
Flag. Yeah,
I'm sure they gave it back to him, right? Like after day 43.
After day 43.
Like I'm sure, like they gave it the flag.
They gave it to him. Yeah, because he wanted to act like a tarp. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So, like I said, we're still in the area where Survivor's trying to kill their players, and obviously the most famous moment maybe ever, but especially in this season, is the scooping in the fire thing. Once again, just keeping it to the realms of this game. Scoopin was already portrayed as like a crazy person on his tribe, but also called the leader on Kucha. So the moment happens, he falls, and I know that at this time, even David Letterman had like the first season was the one like kept trying to push that, oh, the show's fake, like you guys are on a set. And I think this was the moment that everyone realized, if you were still kind of on the fence, no, this shit is real. First time watching, what were y'all's thoughts? And obviously you can have the benefit of hindsight, but just still watching the moment when you guys did this time, does it still hit the same? Because for me, it still did. Watching his skin melt off of his hands, it's always gonna, it doesn't matter who it is. That's fucked up.
It's still hard to watch, like regardless of who it is. Also, the people around him's reactions, like they were real people out there having to deal with a very real situation, and it was hard to watch.
Unfortunately, the first time I watched it, it was reruns for me, so I knew like what already happened. So, but like watching it now, like it was like we got 20 minutes of him like in the water still, everyone's reactions. Like, I hate when I get a headache, let alone like I couldn't even imagine what he was in pain wise. Like,
imagine being on fire.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just couldn't, like that is just horrible. No matter what, like that is just horrific to watch. And I know, like I forget what it was, but I remember Jeff saying like maybe when Philippines came out. Jeff was like, this is when people knew Survivor was real. So of course, they weren't happy this happened, but at least they got to prove their point that the show was real when it happened. But the whole that whole last 20 minutes, because they really, I think they one point showed him sitting with the fire, like the flames, like go, like you see the shadow of the flames.
Well, burns his foot. He burns his foot earlier in the episode.
Yeah, like, I mean, they were definitely foreshadowing it, but then it's like they show them as one happy family, because I really think they were. And then that happens, and you just see everyone's reaction. Like everyone's trying to get the medical. All the girls were. I thought it was really sweet when the girls were putting like the water on him, like I guess like to try to get rid of the pain. So yeah, it was crazy. It's still crazy watching that happened. And it also changed the game too, like strategically as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tina, somebody brought it up. I think Nick brought it up during his speech at final of like, hey, I feel like Michael could have been here. It's like, oh no, but also probably.
Can I say something to that? It's funny how they all didn't like him, but then said he was going to be in the final too. Because if it was like the 6 of them, they would have just voted him out first, right?
they're probably saying it with their hearts of like, oh, well,
Yeah.
he caught on fire, so like he could be winning, but maybe not. They just forgot all the negative stuff they said about him because he caught himself
Yeah.
on fire.
You don't want to talk crap about someone who burned themselves. Right.
Yes, and that's all he did. Gabe brought up earlier, and let's see if the Jerry Blindside, the season gets really slow afterwards, and I do agree because those first three merge boots, so Jeff Varner, Alicia, and then ultimately Jerry, were dynamic gameplay for the time where, hey, we have to figure out who has the tie votes or who has the vote so that we can tie it so that person can go home. With the Alicia vote, yeah, it's pretty straightforward, but it's still like us jockeying or them trying to jockey for position. And then the Jerry vote is ultimately where the Ogacore 3 flip on the Ogacore 5 and just basically play back and forth the rest of the game. But it just gets really slow because Jerry is the great antagonist of the season. If we're losing her at early merge, then we just have to sit here and watch these people starve to death for the last 3 to 4 episodes. Was there anything for you? What was the season still entertaining for you after Jerry left?
Not really. It got really boring. I think there was an immunity challenge that we were watching, and it was like the plates, and like it was just like, okay, this is boring. Like this is obviously Kobe's obviously gonna win this. Like boom, boom, boom. Like the challenges were boring. It just seemed really predictable. There wasn't much gameplay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Jerry's blindside is like is that technically the first like tribe turning on each other blindside? I mean, I know it's only
Yeah,
season
because
2.
even with like in Borneo, when Gretchen gets voted out, it's because everyone's voting differently, with the exception
Right.
of the Tagi 4. So like technically, but not really, because
But
Gretchen's
her
been
tribe
voted.
didn't.
Yeah,
Her
her
tribe
tribe
didn't
didn't
turn
vote
on
for
her.
her.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that was like fun. But even like when Amber got blindsided, they were just like, oh, she's good at challenges. It wasn't really like a personality clash like Jerry's was. And going back off what Scott said, like the challenges I thought were kind of boring afterwards. It was just like I really did not like the trip, not the one where they were like the one where they were told the story and then they had to like go. Yeah. I just thought it was like so repetitive. Kind of like what Scott said. Sometimes it seems like the challenges were cut off and it would just be like clips of them and then all of a sudden Colby wins. So
yes,
but like I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. As like a big strategy fan, there really was no more strategy after the jury vote.
Yeah, the only strategy really happens at round 2 rounds later, where Tina and Keith vote for Amber, and basically just now Colby, you're isolated. Like you have no one else, to work with. You are stuck with us whether you want to or not. And then we're going to get to the end of the game in a little bit. All right, I'm going to talk about Keith for a second because Keith this time watching, yes, which one of you all brought up the fact that he was doing certain strategic stuff. I understand why people could be annoyed with him. One, he did get kind of cocky because he didn't bring stuff to Tribal, the round that Nick got voted out. Two, I hate what's one of my least favorite moments. I had to walk out of my room when it happened. One of my least favorite moments in Survivor history is when he is talking to his girlfriend and they refer to themselves as peas and carrots, and she says, "You can call me Sweet Pea." And it's like, no, I'm good. This is disgusting. And also he proposed to her over an AIM prototype. I don't even know if it was actually AIM.
It was definitely not AIM.
It was not AIM.
I think they were typing to a production member. That's what I told Michael. I was like, are they even actually talking to them?
Scott and I was ripping that whole segment yesterday, so I'm glad you're on the same page as us. Yes. I was laughing the whole time. Call me
Sweet Pea? Who talks like that? You're an old lady, or probably just in her 40s, but still, stop it. What are we talking?
And then, what was worse is I tried to Google if they were still like a couple to this day, and I couldn't find anything.
We couldn't find anything.
He has an Instagram. I've never creeped on it, but
I did,
oh,
and I couldn't find I couldn't find anything with her. It looks like there was an article back in 2017 where they were still together, but I wasn't sure. I don't know. The AI overview wasn't helping me.
Peas and carrots are still together. That's very adorable. We also get our first look at Katie Collins
Yeah.
here, baby Katie Collins.
Baby Katie.
Still has the same Katie Collins look that she has in Blood versus Water.
Yes.
Very just. But it's cute because he's a child at this point. Julia says, "I believe they're still that they are not together, still together."
Oh, thanks, Julia.
So no more peas and carrots.
Yeah, peas and carrots.
Keith is interesting because I mean, Colby calls him a bozo. The same episode that Peas and Carrots is introduced to us, and they also have Rice Wars in that same the prototype for Rice Wars before Redemption Island. Keith is annoying though. I can understand why people are like, "Oh yeah, Colby, you should have just taken Keith," because no one likes this person. He hasn't done like not even the fact he hasn't done anything around because he has. He does things around camp and he's a part of the strategy. It's just he just never came off as anything other than the only time you may want to support him is against Jerry, and even then it's like, yeah, by default, like maybe. What were y'all's thoughts on Keith? Keith the cook.
Sorry, like I said, I hate to say it, I was on his side during the cooking like wars in the beginning of it. Because like I said, the edit was really, I think, on Keith's side. Like I said, like there was one point where he was like, "Oh, thank you for making the tortillas," and then they were still laughing at him. They were like, "We don't really need Keith," and I'm like, "Jerry, move on, get over it." Like I will repeat this. I was laughing during that whole family segment. Scott and I still think that they were just messaging. What did Scott say? Scott said like, "Oh, he's proposing to a producer." Like we just don't even believe that she was even on the computer at like the same time as him. But then I think like the whole Rice thing, like if he is overusing Rice when they literally just lost it all, I would be annoyed too, especially when they all agreed how much Rice they should make. But I mean, yeah, the not bringing stuff to Tribal was annoying. He definitely had like this cockiness to him that wasn't fun to watch. But like I said, I think he was just like almost the same. Like he was just boring and not fun.
Yeah, well, and he became every Survivor superfan's favorite trivia question. Do you know what that is? Every Survivor superfan.
Yes. He was the only person on day 39 not to make it to the end or something.
Well, no, he's the only player. Oh, he has the highest average placement of any Survivor player ever.
Oh yeah,
41 days.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And no one else will ever play that many days without being voted out. Yeah, so he has the highest average, the most amount of days played, average, whatever placement. You know what I'm saying? Everyone that's listening to this knows what I'm saying.
I was still off,
he made it to day 41. Scott, you were going to say something.
Oh, I was just gonna tag off of the whole like internet family visit. Like, I'm sure he's a nice guy. It was just really cringy, and like I feel like he took that opportunity to be like, "Oh, I'm gonna make it about me and propose to my girlfriend." Like, I don't know. It was just very interesting. I'm sure he's a great guy. He just kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent when it comes to Keith. Like, I can take him or leave him.
You can call me Sweet Pea.
But yeah, I barf. Like, barf.
It's disgusting. I want to kind of talk about tie votes because this is basically the last time not the last time, but this is the second to last season before we are introduced to rocks and everything with that. How do you guys like the tie vote dynamic in these early seasons, these first 3 seasons of, hey, I guess the first 2 seasons, Africa does do a little different, where it's like, hey, if you had a vote cast against you, you're shit out of luck. Do you think that would work now? If they were to bring it back, if they would randomly bring that back, do you think that would work? To the fandom, to, whatever?
I feel like it would be an interesting like callback to the earlier seasons. Like I kind of like it because when it's like 5-5 at the merge, like you have to try to figure out who has past votes against them, and you have to make sure that the other people don't figure out if you have past votes against you. So it's a very interesting dynamic that's added. Now I could see fans being like, oh no, just keep it the way it is, but what they newer fans wouldn't realize is this is how it originally was. But I don't know, I think it could be an interesting switch up.
Michael, before you go, or before you say what you're going to say, I would say that I think that it'd be fun to watch now because of swaps. If they did swaps and also had this dynamic, then everyone knows the information, and you still kind of have to figure out how to do it. I feel like it would make the gameplay even crazier because you have to think about type, like who's had votes cast against them, who's lying, like is this group staying true to what they're telling us, is this group telling so I don't think they would ever bring it back because rocks, obviously, and that's like everyone in the back of their heads are always hoping for rocks as an audience member. Just one time, just give us rocks again, just to make us feel something. Michael, yeah, do you think that there's a way that could work now?
Yeah, I think so. I think someone like Rizguy would totally like game bot that completely, like, and it just totally changes conversations. Like if we swap, like you said about a swap, if we swapped, I could, and if let's say I had a vote, I couldn't tell you like, oh, blah blah blah, vote for me on the first dry ball. Like that totally, like you do not want people to know that you're at the bottom, because now people love to talk about how you're at the bottom of a tribe so they can get you to switch. But now you can't, you wouldn't be able to say it because they're like, oh, you may have a vote against you. Like I loved like in this season, like they were so quiet about Keith and Jerry getting votes. Like they were so, they were like, we're not going to say it at all, and it really worked in their favor. But I think it would work perfectly. It's very more strategic than rocks, and like it just stops conversations about who's at the bottom and just general chit chat on who has votes.
Yeah, and
I think this guy would have fun with this twist.
I do too. There are a few players that I think would have, and I think Rizzo is definitely one of them. So I guess to summarize all of that, it is Kimmy Kappenberg's fault, being from Long Island, that Ogakor takes over at the merge. Just keep your fucking mouth shut. Like Jeff Bonner says, I wanted to shake the shit out of her. He said that, not me. But Jeff wanted to shake the shit out of her because
it was karma. They went on Kimmy, and then the rest just went downhill.
I'm going to talk about, or we got a couple more things, then we're going to start to wrap up. Colby's decision to keep Tina and get rid of Keith there at the end. And he even says, I think this is a bad idea. Well, basically, this is a bad idea. But he does it anyway. And he still, he loses 4-3. So it's not like, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, it's probably a sweep if he takes Keith. And I guess for both of y'all, do you guys consider this an all-time blunder? Do you just say, okay, this is what Survivor was at this time, and like this is the type of person that he is?
I don't know. I think maybe he just disliked Keith so much that he didn't even want him to sit there. Like, but I mean, if you look at Borneo, like Kelly kind of did the same thing, but I think Kelly really thought that she was gonna beat Richard. But and then it just turns out that she didn't. But here I think he just didn't want to sit next to Keith.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad. He almost wins, right? I still think that. Does he think that he still can beat her? Like, I think he probably thinks that a little bit. And I must say it again: the ride or die. I think he was really generally game wise closer to her than him, and I just don't think he saw it as a problem. And then maybe he thought people would be mad if he took Keith to the end, and. So I don't like we ranked like worst moves of like bringing people to the end. I don't think this is like top 5 at all.
Interesting. Okay. And Gabe bringing off the brand deals and offers. Before we went live, had either one of y'all seen that clip before I sent it to you?
No.
Okay. If you're
No, I have
listening
not.
live or listening to the replay, everyone go look up Colby on Curb Your Enthusiasm. He filmed it pretty much right after Australian Outback. It's the funniest thing you'll see all day, more than likely. It is amazing. He gets into a tiff with a Holocaust survivor and hijinks. If you've ever watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, you can kind of catch on to what's going on there. Colby ended up being, he hosted some show on one of those channels that I don't watch. He comes back 3 times, and he's one of the most popular people to ever play on the show. So it did end up working out for him. It ended up working out for Elizabeth. She was already dating Tim Hasselbeck at the time. So, it works out for Tina, works out for Amber. There's a lot of people, and I know we talked about the returnees earlier. Is there anyone in this season that returned outside of Amber? We'll just say outside of Amber, where you feel like they had a better performance on a later season compared to this one, or do you think that this was peak everyone that came back from the season?
I mean, I loved Alicia on this season, but I love her in All Stars. Like, I definitely think, like, she obviously makes it farther in All Stars by a couple placements, but like, I didn't think like when I first watched it, and now I was like, oh, like Alicia was great. I'm sure she'll be good in another season, but I feel like nothing can beat like her performance in Outback because I loved her so much. But she beat it like so much in All Stars. Like she was very heavily edited. She had strategy. I loved her little tiff with Boston Rob. I don't know. I just love Alicia every time she's played. She gets better every time she plays. And I think she should have been on 50, if you ask me. I don't know if she was in consideration or not, but like I think she should have been in 50 because I think she would have done very well there as well.
Uh, I think, well, Jerry is a good example. I mean, even Kimmy does technically better in her second time. I know it's like a purple edit, but like, it's very like she doesn't get voted out for being annoying.
No.
So like, she's got. I
mean,
this
got Monica Padilla for being annoying.
Yeah, I mean, her big move getting Monica Padilla out, but yeah. So like, I mean, I guess you could say I don't, but like. Do I find her more entertaining in the Australian Outback? Absolutely, with those plaid pajama pants she was wearing on the island. Yeah. But yeah, I think like I said, I think that like I do think I read that as well. I really do think Kimmy sometimes like some people got that 6th place edit where they like if they would have done better, they would have got a better edit. So who knows? Maybe she would have won if she made it to the end.
I don't want to live in that world.
I think, huh?
I don't want to live in that world, but that's fine.
Yeah,
that's just me.
We don't have to live in that world. But I think that's why so many people were brought back because of their great character. So, like what you said, it was definitely peak for them in that season. And I mean, like Tina was okay. Well, she did horrible in All Stars, but I guess everyone will still be known for the Outback.
Well, say Blood versus Water. I think there is a chance. I mean, not even a chance. I think she kills it if she makes it.
Yeah,
she does think that
she made it back in. Like if she makes it to the end, I think she's our first our second 2-time winner at that point. Scott, did you answer the question?
Oh yeah, I said Alicia. I said, because Alicia's just one of my favorite players in general, and like I'm glad she got brought back for All Stars because I'm a big quote person, and one of my favorite quotes of all time is when Sheehan is like, "Yes, in your faces," and Alicia's like, "Hey, Sheehan, be careful. You have to come home with us." Like,
and so and I don't like Alicia in All Stars because of moments like that. Because I don't like anyone in All Stars post merge except for Sheehan, because everyone else is just the worst. And
I love that quote so much. You can never see, like, no one can ever make me dislike Alicia. Like, I will always be Team Alicia.
I mentioned at the beginning of this, and I kind of talked about it yesterday, how this season quite literally changed my life, because after Australian Outback came out, I decided one day I want to go to Australia. And so I did what 4 or 5 years later when I was
Oh
14.
wow.
And there I learned how to play rugby. And all these
Oh,
years later, that's what I do for a living. And I'm wearing my Australia Wallabies shirt today. Yeah,
that's so cool.
when I say that, I would the survivor fan that I am, as also the person that I am, would not exist because of the season. That like I snorkeled in the Great Barrier Reef. Like I was able to snorkel in the Great Barrier Reef. I was able to see kangaroos in the wild. I was able to walk around the outback, and it's because of this season that I wanted to do that. And so I was like, able to experience that as a 14-year-old, and I wouldn't know y'all if it wasn't for this season. So it always has a special place in my heart. Now I did watch this time because this is my last time doing the marathon. I did watch it without nostalgia goggles. And like Gabe had brought up, and all three of us have kind of brought up, the season does kind of get pretty dull because they're just dying for the last 3 to 4 episodes. And the finale, in my opinion, is the worst finale of all time because it's just the final three. It's just the final three for 2 hours without commercials. And it's just nothing. There's nothing going on ever. So my rating for it, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5, which is a lot lower than I had it last time when I was watching Nostalgia Goggles. One last thing before I get to our final question. Jeff brings up during right before the final votes, the reason that we want to do this live is because it gives people time to reflect on their games, which is ironic because if we don't count 41 and 42, where it kind of made sense they didn't do a live reunion, they haven't done it until the season that we're currently in. And it's always very uncomfortable watching the losers kind of sit there and be in both physical and mental shock that they just lost a game and just got torn up by the jury. This is not really a question. It's just more of an observation of, wow, how the times have changed. Final question. And like I mentioned, for anyone that listened yesterday, and thank you to everyone that's been watching the stream afterwards from yesterday, what we're doing this time is I will be asking the panel one thing or a couple of things that the modern day Survivor fandom would hate, whether unnecessarily or whatever, about the season we were talking about. So, Scott, what is something that the modern day fandom would probably hate about this season?
I feel like they would hate that there were no idols. I feel like they would think that it was boring. Like, I personally, as someone that has watched like every season in real time, I actually hate idols. Like, I think that they are overused, but I think that the people that just recently have started watching and only have like the late 30s and 40s to go off of would rewatch it and be like, where are the idols, where's the excitement, where's the advantages, when I kind of prefer like maybe like one idol or no idols.
Michael?
This was a hard question, by the way, I thought.
Yes.
So for me, it's kind of almost the same. For me, I said this earlier about the strategy. I would have loved to see more. I think modern fans would love to see more of the strategy that was going on. Imagine if we got to see like Tina tell Colby and Keith to vote for Mitch and stuff like that. I think that was missing. I think even like in the first 3 episodes, it was really interesting to watch. It was very like it would show like someone saying, "Oh, there's strategy happening," and the strategy was just showing two people talking, and that was it. It wasn't an actual strategy. So I think the people that watch the game for like the game purposes would probably be upset about that for sure, because there just wasn't that much strategy talk.
Before I get to mine, is it so? So for anyone that doesn't know, I usually have the reunion playing as we record. So that's why I'm always like looking back to see where they're at. I have no real opinion. Is it Greg or Bryant that does the reunions at this point?
I think Brian was
Is
the
Bryant
name.
Gumbel?
Yeah,
he's fine. We're gonna get Rosie in 2 seasons.
I think he was like mean to them. He kept like bringing up to Colby that he like made a bad decision. I felt like he was doing it more than once, and I was like, we
Jeff
got it.
the same thing.
Yeah, and well, you don't want to know my opinions on Jeff, but he was like, I just felt like I had to turn it off. It was just corny. Everyone was laughing at his jokes. I wasn't a huge fan, but
So for me, and this is because I hate the modern day Survivor fandom, I think that they would just complain that it's 42 days because they're so obsessed with the fact that it's not 39 anymore. Like it's so they're so butthurt as if we don't get the same amount of episodes that it's not 39. So the fact that it's 42, I feel like people would just find reasons. This isn't real Survivor. They're playing 3 extra days. This isn't real. What this it's once again, and I'll probably say this almost every time I do this. The fans suck. They're Star Wars fans. They are just Star Wars fans. We have become Star Wars fans. Okay, so to wrap it up, one, thank you both so much for taking the time to rewatch the season and hopping on and doing this. We've got Africa. I'm probably going to start it around 11 tonight and knock out as many as possible. Make sure to like and subscribe. We are going live at 10 o'clock EST to talk about last week's episode of episode 50. So I have to come right back and do that. So make sure to like and subscribe for that. We're also going to be talking about traders, like New Zealand traders or Australian traders. One of the traders is coming out soon. Mucky's doing interviews with people from Australian Survivor. And then, we've got this for the next 48 days. Y'all want to plug anything, any games you guys might be hosting or are on prod for that you want to put out apps?
No, mine just finished, but thank you for asking.
And thank you both again so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone in the chat. And we will be back tomorrow for Survivor Africa.